Hey guys, it's your course director, Emily Ray. Just wanted to give you a little bit of positive, productive feedback on the portfolio sites that you turned in recently. So in this review, I'm going to be taking a look at the sites of both Cory and Jasmine. Now I understand that each of you somehow got misscheduled into Portfolio 3 without having taken editing for the web. Now this is certainly a special circumstance, so I want to calm any fears that you have about what you've created, and know that certainly I will take the fact that you've never created a site before into consideration, and let you know that this review session is really just about pushing you to the next best place with these sites. So certainly in your next editing for the web class, you will have an opportunity to revisit this site and keep pushing it towards its next best place. And so I've gone ahead and queued up those two sites in a browser window, and we're going to jump over and take a look at them now. All right, so first up we have Jasmine's site. At first glance, some really fun, playful colors. We've got some logo and branding information here. In this larger application, I can see that it does say your name and then management and consulting, but here at the smaller application you can see that that text isn't really legible, so something to consider, that at this smaller size and at this place up in the header that you can't really read exactly what that says there. Now I like that I can read it down here in this other application, but having it in two places like this is a bit redundant. Not sure that you need both. One thing that I might do is just kind of tease out this pie chart looking element, add that up here in the header, and then maybe your name and the management consulting next to it, so that it fits more in this horizontal area, right? Instead of what you've got here is something that's shaped, more like a square. So looking at the pages that are available, we have Home, About Me, Portfolio, Resume, and Contact. This kind of seafoam light green blue on the yellow doesn't show up so well, so not enough color contrast. See how great this white pops against the background, as does this black. The blue just doesn't provide the same experience. So scrolling down on this page, we have Igniting Purpose and Creating Opportunities, a little bit of a tagline. A welcome message, so you're going to deliver marketing services for an ordained purpose. I like that you're clear on what you're doing here, but there's a lot of unused space, right? So like this entire white space, and then kind of this whole area up here. If you were to kind of consolidate this logo and just have it up here in the header, you have all of this available space here on the home page, which is your high value real estate area on your site. It's the only place that you can ensure a visitor will see. Because they have the option once this page loads to jump around, or they might not. So you want to give them the information that they're looking for right off the bat. So clearly branding, navigation, and information about what it is that you want to do. Scrolling down to the bottom, I do see that you have your other social media contact places down here, but only your LinkedIn is actually connected to that particular account. It looks like the Facebook, Twitter, and Snapchat are still linking back to the Wix account, so that's something that you're going to need to update. And a mailing list option, so I could subscribe here, potentially to some sort of e-newsletter that you're going to send out. Jumping to the About Me page, we've got a really nice professional picture. I'm guessing this is a page title, a quote from Oprah, and then just a really nice bit of text about what your goals are professionally. I like that this is short and sweet and details what it is that you're looking to do in the industry. But what I'll say is all of this information, your photo, the quote, and this great bit of information about the work that you want to do could be consolidated here on the home page, because there really isn't that much content here. So, because this is a site about you, it would stand to reason that information about you would be found on the home page. Jumping next to the portfolio page, we've got a couple of projects here. So we've got your final portrait, your pitch mock-up, detailing skills in video editing, and then graphic design over here, and then coursework certificates. So this shows some of your lynda.com tutorials. So what I'll say is that I could go ahead and press play and watch this and just kind of get the story behind what's going here. But I want to have more information as to why you're sharing this. What are the skills that you're looking to showcase here, right? Video editing, cinematography, scripting, storytelling. These are all rich keywords that you want to use to describe your project. So you let people know the skills that you're trying to showcase so that you could then in fact get more work having to do in those particular areas. Coursework certificates, I might actually list this as technical skills or software skills. Just because they're not particularly associated with any one course, but rather broad concepts. And then instead of adding these thumbnails of each one, which the text is large enough that I can read, but basically what you've done here is you've created a picture of words, right? So I can't select this text, I can't copy and paste that, and for that reason it's not able to be indexed by search engines. So what I might do is I might list skills, I might type out the word personal branding basics, and then I might link that text then to this image. So if I were to click the link, then I would get this image that pops up. And the reason that I would do that is then you have rich keyword content on your pages that might match with a user's keyword search, say in Google, and get them to your site and get you hired for a project. Next up, we have the resume. So here it's just showing that your education, kind of where you're studying right now. So certainly the opportunity is here to build this page out with any volunteer work, any experience that you have working in a freelance capacity, or any roles or duties that you've taken on as a young budding professional that might lend itself to showing experience or work history in that area is something you want to add here in future iterations of this site. Last but not least, we've got your contact information. So here we've got a super large application of the logo, and it's kind of pixelized. You can see it just looks a little bit blurry there. And then we've got the contact us. It's like you've put it as kind of a background image on the page. And we're here to make your design dreams come true. Well, I have questions about that, because what you say here in the About Me is that you are into public relations. So wondering if perhaps there could be a call to action here that speaks a little more to how you've defined yourself in that About Me. So we've got your telephone, your email, and just a simple form. So all that works really well. This is a really great start, and you've done well, especially having not had any experience in this realm before. So certainly there's a lot to build on here in your upcoming web class, where you will be asked to do another iteration, another version of this website, but very well done, Jasmine. Jumping next over to Cory's site, I've got it loaded up here. So we've got a simple kind of text-based branding logo up here in the corner, but then also Infinite Media. So here's my question for you, Cory. Are you Cory, or are you Infinite Media? Or are you Cory who represents Infinite Media? This is something that you're going to need to be clear on, so that all of your promotional materials, your branding is consistent, right? So I've seen this logo before because it was a part of what you did for your business card. So what I might expect is that this to be kind of up here in the header, and it says Infinite Media, and then maybe in the About Us section it says Cory Ryson, sorry I mispronounced that before, is a representative of or founder of, or the president of, or a designer at Infinite Media, which is an advertising firm located at such and such place. So here, you have a little bit about yourself, and then talking about, your passion for advertising. Jumping then to an experience section. So one thing I might note is that you've got this dynamic moving background behind things, which is cool looking, but it also can become a distraction, because depending upon where the flow of this ink is, it could be hard to read the text that's laying on top of it. And I see that you've added kind of a drop shadow to this text here, and what that does is, yes, it makes it stand out slightly against the page, but it also makes it look a little blurry, so it's not really the best way to approach that. I like the dynamic movement, but ask yourself, is it worth maybe making your user experience not as great? Perhaps using it in one section, but then having a solid background color in the other areas. So here we've got your experience, so talking about basically just some projects, so this looks like a project that you did for graphic design, and this looks like your kind of the history of your company here. I'm a little confused because it kind of looks like a timeline, but it also kind of looks like an experience or a resume setup. So it might be something here that you look to clarify, you know, a little bit more in depth, right? So just definitely an opportunity here, because under the experience, I might call this projects instead, because you are in fact highlighting you know, your project with this. So maybe experience is more kind of work history, and you'd have a section that potentially says projects that displayed your work and then talked about and explained what skills that you're looking to showcase by sharing this example. So by sharing this business card, you potentially are showcasing branding and graphic design. So something to think about, you know, with the organization of this information on the page. Jumping next to the education section here, you talk about your degree at Full Sail and your high school. The background image is nice because it's kind of media centric for sure. This logo that you've snagged here isn't an official Full Sail you know, logo. This is the one they used for Hall of Fame. So you might want to get one that you didn't kind of have to crop out in this way, and just go with something that's a bit more official, kind of like we saw here on Jasmine's site. But I like that we've got information about your schooling, your skills. So talking a little bit about you know, your different you know, achievements, both in terms of software and, you know, kind of some conceptual stuff like graphic design and advertising and marketing. This looks great. The light gray here with the white text, it's not super easy to read. So, you know, I might look for a little bit more contrast between that text and the elements. So the expertise section, so here it talks about, you know, what you've, kind of some skill level that you've achieved in these couple of areas, which is great. We've got a lot of empty space here, so I'm wondering if you have an intention to do more with that. You know, certainly there's an opportunity to add more visuals in these areas. And we've got the contact me, so your name, some phone number information. I'm hovering over these social media icons, and they are in fact still linking to the Wix social media platform. So if you intend to include social media, I do see that your name is misspelled down here in the header. Simple contact form, and the colors of this particular section seem a little off with the scheme that you've got going on elsewhere. Overall, Cory, this is a strong start, especially for someone who doesn't have any experience in web design. I'd like you to think about the feedback that you've been provided here, and as you continue to progress in the MCBS program and you get into your web class, take these concepts that we've talked about in terms of the organization of the information, how you layer elements on the page to make sure that they stand out and facilitate a good user experience, how to simplify, you know, your messaging and what it is that you want to say. These are all things that are going to be important in an upcoming class, and certainly in the next iteration or revision of this website. So overall, super pleased with what you guys were able to put together. And then lastly, I'm sorry that I didn't necessarily comment on this in the beginning. This is a great picture, but it is a little blurry, kind of pixelated. Wondering if maybe there's a slightly clearer version that you can upload. And then, I'm looking at this here and seeing that you've got your date of birth. It's really not going to be necessary on your portfolio site or a resume to include your birth date on there. Overall, again, really proud of what you guys were able to create, especially with very limited web design experience.